Welcome to the Deep Dive. We grab a huge pile of research, history, news, all that stuff, and boil it down to the essentials, the really surprising bits, just for you. Today, we're kind of looking through a veil, a really old global one. We're diving into how and why humans across thousands of years and all over the world spend so much time and energy remembering the dead.
And engaging with them. Sometimes even, well, exercising them.
Right. We're talking everything from ancient magic spells on clay tablets, 3,500 years old, up to these huge, vibrant festivals happening right now.
Exactly. And our mission today is really to unpack this universal human need for structure when facing death. We've got sources covering, well, the whole range of global ghost protocols.
Ghost protocols, I like that.
Yeah, focusing on specific traditions that help organize the chaos of loss. We'll hit ancient Babylon, East Asia's Ghost Month, which is incredibly structured, Mexico's Dia de Muertos, and the hidden history behind Western All-Hallow-Time.
Which includes Halloween, of course.
Which includes Halloween.
And we've got some genuinely amazing facts lined up. Things that just show how persistent this need for ritual really is. We're going to talk about a clay tablet, 1500 BCE roughly, that doesn't just have instructions for an exorcism, but also what people think is the earliest known drawing of a ghost.
It's pretty incredible. And we'll also trace the line for modern trick-or-treating, reveal how that very secular tradition is actually rooted in a specific medieval Christian thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, involving poor folks, these little pastries called soul cakes, and the need to pray for people who had just died.
Yeah.
You'll see that our connection with the dead, it might just be the most enduring cultural thread we have.
Okay, so let's start with the big picture first. Before the history, why? Why do we dedicate these elaborate periods to the dead?
Mother.
Psychologically, we know these rituals, memorials, festivals, funerals, they're vital for what experts call grief work.
That's right. Death is, well, it's fundamentally chaotic, isn't it? It brings intense emotional pain, uncertainty, this sudden absolute loss of control.
Right.
So the ritual, the funeral, the commemoration, it gives you a predictable script, a response to that chaos. It makes us face the reality of the loss, helps move past denial to a set sequence of actions.
Like lighting a candle or giving a eulogy.
Or even just pouring a drink for them. It's that structured environment that helps people manage these huge, formless emotions.
And I was really struck by how much of it is about collective relief, too. If grief makes you feel alone, the ritual kind of combats that.
Definitely.
These events bring families, communities together. You mourn together. You get validation together.
And that shared experience is absolutely critical. Research shows again and again that this kind of social support really does lessen the severity of grief. The ritual itself becomes symbolic communication.
So?
Well, it lets us express things that are just too raw, too hard to put into words, When you perform the ritual action, you're symbolically communicating your pain, your respect, maybe even beginning to accept it.
Which must be why, even though they start with loss, these traditions always seem to pivot towards celebrating life.
Exactly.
That moment you share memories, maybe laugh about something they did, or cook their favorite meal. It's that deliberate act of remembering that keeps their spirit, quote-unquote, alive. It moves the living towards peace. It's control through choreography.
Control through choreography. I like that. And if you think about it, this need for choreography, it starts really early. Let's jump way back, 3,500 years. Ancient Babylon, around 1500 BCE. There's this amazing example of structured action on a tiny clay tablet. It's in the British Museum now.
It's just incredible, an artifact that literally fits in your palm, and it might have the earliest known picture of a ghost. Just thinking about how long humans have been dealing with this exact same thing, it's staggering.
It really is. And the curator who studied it, Dr. Irving Finkel, he noted the drawing itself is very skilled, but also really hard to see.
Oh.
Yeah, you can only make out the faint outline of the ghost looks like a miserable, bearded older guy being led by a woman if you look at the tablet from above under just the right light. It's basically a 3,500-year-old hidden picture puzzle.
Wow. And the text tells you exactly what you're looking at.
Yep, it's a full ritual aimed at getting rid of this pesky, lonely ghost. Finkel kind of affectionately called him Uncle Henry.
Oh, Uncle Henry.
The instructions are so precise, like an ancient IKEA manual. They tell the exorcist, make these little figurines, a man and a woman, get 2 pots of beer ready, and crucially, say these specific ritual words at sunrise, calling on the Mesopotamian god Shamash.
Shamash. He was the sun god, right?
Yeah.
But also connected to the underworld.
That's the one. He was responsible for bringing ghosts to the underworld, the land of no return. So the whole point was to transfer this unhappy older male ghost into his figurine
Okay.
so that the figurine of the young woman could lead him to his proper resting place, give him the companionship he seemed to be missing in the afterlife.
That's surprisingly thoughtful for an exorcism.
It is. And the last line of the text is classic. And
Oh,
either of the figurines or the exorcist, maybe. Do not look behind you.
amazing. But that detail raises a question you touched on. If it's an exorcism, why all the sympathy? Why help Uncle Henry find a friend instead of just, blasting him?
That's the crucial difference in their view. Ancient Mesopotamians generally didn't see ghosts as purely evil. They saw them more as victims.
Victims.
Yeah, restless, because they hadn't received proper funeral rites, so they were denied eternal rest. They were suffering.
Yeah.
And because they were suffering, they needed specific help to get back to where they belonged. Restore the order.
So it's like fixing a mistake in the process.
Exactly. It's why they had this whole school of specialist magic just for appeasing ghosts and sending them back correctly. They were trying to fix a broken rite, not just fight a monster.
That idea of structure, helping the departed find peace, it's a really powerful connection.
Yeah.
And you see it pop up across cultures, right? So if Babylon had one specific, maybe grumpy ghost, East Asia deals with this huge seasonal return of spirits during Ghost Month.
Totally different scale, yeah. We're talking about the 7th month in the Chinese lunisolar calendar. The belief is that the gates, the realms of heaven, hell, and the living, they all open up.
So everyone can just wander out.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Ghosts, spirits, they roam freely, looking for food, for sustenance, especially those who died without descendants or whose families didn't pay proper tribute. These are the hungry ghosts.
And this period has significance in multiple religions too, right? Which makes it even heavier.
It does. In Taoism, it's the Zhongyuan festival. But the most widely known origin story comes from Buddhism, the Yulanpin festival. It comes from the Yulanpin Sutra.
Okay, what's the story there?
Well, that sutra gives us the ultimate image of the hungry ghost, the Prita. It's about Moggallana, one of the Buddha's disciples, trying to feed his deceased mother.
Right.
But she'd been reborn as a Prita, this creature consumed by craving. And every time he offered her rice, the moment it reached her mouth, poof, it turned into burning coal.
Oh, wow. So she couldn't eat.
Couldn't satisfy her hunger. So that story really emphasizes why you have to feed and guide these suffering spirits.
So the rituals are all about appeasement then, feeding them.
Largely, yes. They're elaborate, very structured. You see offerings of ritual food, often vegetarian meals. People set empty seats at the table, treating the spirits like guests who are actually there.
And they burn things too, right? Joss paper.
Right, joss paper, or sometimes these amazing papier-mâché models of things, houses, cars, phones even. The belief is burning them transfers their value to the afterlife for the spirit to use.
It's like sending a care package.
Kind of. And then crucially, to make sure order is restored at the end of the month, families float these beautiful lotus-shaped lanterns on water.
What's that for?
That's the guidance system. The light is meant to lead any lost souls back to the underworld before those gates swing shut again.
The level of detail, the structure is immense, and it really affects daily life during that month too. I thought the taboos in Taiwan were fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
People avoid huge life decisions. Don't buy a car, don't move house, no elective surgery, definitely no weddings.
Wow.
And smaller things too, like no swimming, no whistling, especially at night, don't take pictures after dark, all because you might attract unwanted spiritual attention. It just shows how seriously it's taken.
That deep respect also connects to honoring ancestors. Look at Cambodia's Chum Ben Festival. It lasts 15 days, and families honor deceased relatives going back as far as 7 generations.
7 generations. That's an incredible sense of continuity.
It really is an unbroken line of remembrance.
Okay, let's shift gears now. Different continent, different energy entirely. Moving from maybe the anxiety of appeasement to the sheer vibrancy of Mexico's Dia de Muertos, Day of the Dead.
Yeah, this is a multi-day celebration, and it's not just about remembering the dead, it's about actively welcoming them back for a visit.
The main thing here is building the ofrenda, the home altar, right?
Absolutely. These are built with so much intention, so much love. Decorated with bright orange marigolds, sempas achitl piled high with the favorite foods and drinks of the departed. Photos, mementos.
And they make distinctions too. Toys for Los Angelitos, the children who've passed away, and maybe tequila or mezcal for the adults.
And the specific foods are so symbolic. You have the pan de muerto, that sweet bread, everywhere. And the calaveras, the sugar skulls, often with names written on them, given as gifts to the living and placed on the ofrenda for the dead.
And the belief about the food is interesting, too. They think the spirits consume the
The
essence.
spiritual essence, yeah. That's the idea. So when the spirits return, they feast on that essence. Afterwards, the living eat the physical food, believing it lacks nutritional value now, but it still serves as this vehicle for shared memory. It connects them.
Now, the origins of Dia de Muertos. This seems to be a hot topic for scholars. We found some really interesting debates.
It is quite debated.
Mm.
On one side, you have scholars arguing for deep indigenous roots, pointing to Aztec festivals.
Like practices that honored the god of war, Mixcoatl, or dedicated specific months to remembering the dead.
Exactly. The Aztec calendar had, I think, two 20-day months dedicated to the dead, one for children, one for adults. Some argue that after Spanish colonization, these indigenous practices were just sort of compressed and merged with the Catholic dates of All Saints and All Souls Day.
Makes sense, but then there's a strong counter-argument.
A very compelling one, yeah. Historians like Elsa Malvito argue that actually the traditions we see today are pretty much fully traceable to medieval Catholic Europe, specifically All Hallowtide.
Really?
Yeah.
Like the altars and skull-shaped sweets?
Precisely. They point to similar traditions existing on the exact same dates in places like Spain and Italy, altars for the dead, sweets shaped like bones or skulls. They argue the influence of the dance macabre, that medieval imagery of skeletons leading everyone, rich and poor, in a dance of death,
Yeah.
is really strong.
And that visual link feels important for understanding the holiday's most famous icon, La Calavera Catrina, the elegant skeleton lady.
Absolutely. She was popularized by the printmaker José Guadalupe Posada.
Yeah.
And interestingly, his influences seem closer to that European macabre satirical tradition than to pre-Hispanic Aztec art.
That satirical, slightly dark humor element, you also see that in the Calaveras Literarias.
They're brilliant. The literary skulls.
Yeah, tell us about those.
They're these short, funny poems, usually in rhyming verse. People write them about living people, friends, classmates, politicians, celebrities.
About them dying.
Yeah, placing them in these humorous, fictional scenarios involving death, like Katrina. They're taught in schools in Mexico. It's this fantastic, structured way to confront mortality with wit and familiarity, not just fear.
That active engagement, making death familiar, you see it regionally, too. Like in Bolivia, the Dia de las Llatitas, the Day of the Skulls.
Right, where families literally keep the skulls of their ancestors at home.
They keep the skulls at home.
Yeah, they decorate them, care for them, believe they offer protection. Then once a year, they take them to the cemetery to be blessed. It's such a tangible, physical connection to the past.
Wow. Okay, which brings us to the West and the traditions around Halloween. All Hallows Eve, October 31st.
Which kicks off the three-day observance called All Hallowtide, followed by All Saints' Day on November 1st and All Souls' Day on November 2nd.
And the history here is also a bit tangled, like Dia de Muertos, competing origin theories.
One very common theory links it strongly to the old Gaelic harvest festival, Samhain. Beliefs about the veil between worlds being thin, spirits crossing over.
Right, the Celtic connection.
But there's another well-supported view among historians that Halloween, or All Hallows' Eve, actually originated independently, simply as the Christian vigil held the night before the major feast of All Hallows' Day, All Saints' Day.
Like Christmas Eve before Christmas Day.
Exactly, just a standard Christian practice. Either way, or maybe through a merging of both, it became this specific time focused on remembering the dead, especially saints and martyrs.
And if we dig into the historical Christian customs from that period, that's where we find the roots of trick-or-treating, right?
That's where it gets fascinating. Take souling. This was a real practice in medieval England, Ireland, across Britain.
Souling.
Yeah. Poor people, often children, would go door to door. A souling, they called it. They'd basically beg wealthier households for soul cakes.
Soul cakes, like little pastries.
Small, sweet cakes, yeah. And in return for the cake, the soulers would promise to pray for the souls of that family's dead relatives.
Ah, so it wasn't just give me candy. It was a transaction, food for prayers.
Exactly. You give sustenance to the poor. They offer spiritual help for your departed family members. And this practice was apparently quite widespread. It even traveled. There's a similar tradition in the Philippines called Pengangalulua.
Amazing. And that evolved into guising.
That seems to be the next step. Guising. Dressing up in costumes. Initially, the costumes might have been saints, angels, devils.
Yeah?
Or sometimes people just wore masks.
Why not?
The idea might have been to fool or confuse any roaming, potentially vengeful ghosts that were thought to be about on that night. This was really common in Ireland and Scotland, and that's the direct line to today's kids dressing up and going door to door.
And the food traditions were tied into the religious structure, too?
Yeah, because the vigil, the eve, was traditionally a day of abstinence from meat in the Christian calendar.
Ah,
So you
okay.
get these specific vegetarian dishes becoming traditional, like colcannon in Ireland, potatoes, kale, butter, or barmbrack, a kind of fruitcake.
And fortune-telling games with apples.
Right, using the harvest foods.
Mm-hmm.
Apple bobbing, or peeling an apple, trying to get the peel off in one long strip, then throwing it over your shoulder.
Yeah.
The shape it landed in was supposed to be the initial of your future spouse. Hazelnuts were used in similar games, all tied to harvest and looking ahead, even while remembering the dead.
And the spooky imagery. Skeletons, skulls.
That ties back again to that medieval dance macabre idea we mentioned with Dia de Muertos, the image of death as a skeleton leading everyone away. These symbols weren't just meant to be scary for fun, they were a memento mori.
A reminder of death.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A sophisticated, sometimes darkly funny, reminder of everyone's mortality.
Yeah.
It forces you to engage with the idea of death.
So when you pull it all together, 3,500 years, Babylon, Asia, Mexico, Europe, it's really striking how consistent that thread is.
It really is. Our relationship with the dead, it's active, it's structured. It seems deeply rooted in this human need for order in the face of something so final.
Whether you're trying to help poor old Uncle Henry in Babylon with a, specific ritual,
Or guiding a hungry ghost back home with a lantern.
or setting out marigolds and tequila on an ofrenda.
Or even just carrying on that echo of asking for soul cakes. These are all structured ways through grief. They offer control, comfort, a sense of collective action against the chaos of loss.
And maybe the main point, across all these cultures, all this time, isn't really about fearing the dead. It's more about using ritual, using memory to define who we are, the living, to celebrate life, ultimately.
I think that's right. The structure helps us cope.
So these rituals give us essential structure, essential control when dealing with maybe the most difficult thing we face, which leaves us with a final thought for you to chew on. If that structure is the antidote to chaos, what modern chaos, maybe technological overload, climate anxiety, political division, what current chaos are we living through right now that desperately needs a new ritual, a new, maybe universal structure to give us some comfort, some order?
That's a big question.
It is something to think about. That's it for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.